If I were to ask you to name your 3 favorite animals, spiders would probably not make it on the list. But today, I'm going to show you why spiders are some of the best Taoists in the world, and what you can learn from them. So, an important thing to keep in mind with this topic is that even though most people dislike spiders, there's nothing inherently wrong or bad about them. In fact, I think it's important to remember that the things you dislike about other people are almost always things that you actually dislike about yourself. And I would argue that this applies to animals every bit as much as it does to humans. If you feel like you have a strong dislike of spiders, think about what that says about what you have come to reject or dislike about yourself. Spiders used to be my greatest fear in the whole animal kingdom until I took the time to learn about them and understand them. I also do want to debunk some common spider myths, so that we can look at spiders a little more objectively, without all the preconceived notions we usually bring to the table. A lot of people say they don't like spiders because they're dangerous and their bite is potentially deadly, and of course it makes sense to be afraid of something that you think could potentially kill you. But what you may not have realized is that it is actually extremely uncommon for people to die to spider bites, especially in the US, which YouTube tells me is where most of you guys are from. First of all, spiders generally bite only as a last resort, and many species, such as the black widow, don't even inject venom into the greater percentage of their bites on humans. Spider venom, by and large, is an evolutionary tool used primarily for hunting. It's designed to immobilize small prey such as insects, or to assist in breaking food down so the spider can digest it. It is not evolutionary adapted for killing humans, because killing humans doesn't really benefit a spider at all. Generally, the spider's only interest in a human is to be left alone by them, and a non-toxic bite usually accomplishes this just as well as a toxic one. Actually, according to a study conducted between 2008 and 2015, only about 11 people in the entire United States die from spider bites every year. To put that in perspective, the long-term average for fatalities in the US from lightning strikes is around 40 per year, or over the past 10 years it's been more like 20 per year. So you're actually 2 to 4 times more likely to be killed by a lightning strike than by a spider bite. So, rather than approaching spiders from a place of fear and misunderstanding, we would be well served to approach them, as any living thing in this world, with an open mind and a desire to be taught something. Now, if you're interested in Taoism, I strongly recommend taking some notes from the spider. You see, spiders are the perfect embodiment of Wu Wei. If you're a little bit familiar with Taoism, or you've watched this channel a bit, you know that Wu Wei is a term used to describe the action of doing something without trying too hard, or effortless action, kind of like the flow state. I've made several videos about Wu Wei already, so I'm not going to get too much into that here. But for the purposes of the video today, I'll just say that Wu Wei has to do with allowing nature to run its course, and doing your best to go with the flow, accepting things you can't control, and trusting that they are playing out for your ultimate benefit. Spiders are a great example of this principle. Most spiders survive primarily on eating insects, but most of them don't catch their meals by going out and hunting like other predators such as lions or wolves. Spiders' primary method of hunting is to spin a web and catch the food that comes to it. This is a great illustration of Wu Wei. Wu Wei isn't laziness or inaction, it's simply knowing and being able to feel when the time is right to act and when the time is right to trust and be patient. Spiders are not lazy. They put a lot of meticulous work into their carefully crafted webs. The spider just knows that it won't catch more bugs by hustling harder or working longer hours. Its job is to simply find a good spot for a web, spin the web, and then be patient and wait for the universe to bring its meal. I think a good human equivalent for this is a farmer. At least in the traditional sense of farming. Farming looks a lot different nowadays because of the advances in technology and because of the departure of small family farms in favor of massive corporate ones. But in the days where most humans were primarily agricultural, we lived a much more Wu Wei kind of lifestyle. If you think about it, when you work as a farmer, there are definitely times when you put in a lot of hours, such as during harvest season. But there are also seasons where there really isn't much work to do at all, and working more hours won't bring added results, such as during the winter months when there's nothing to harvest or plant. Additionally, during this time, there were clear nature-driven indications of when it was time to work and when it was time to rest. When the sun was up, you worked. When the sun went down, you went to sleep. Our widespread use of electric lights and increasing demand for the 24/7 availability of goods and services has led us to largely depart from these natural rhythms. I'm not saying that lights or the global supply chain are inherently bad. I'm just saying that even though modern technology allows us to work all the time, and our global economy increasingly seems to reward it, at least in the short term, this doesn't mean that we as humans are designed to be able to work all the time. We still need time to, be people, to do the things that make us human. Trying harder or working longer hours doesn't always lead to greater results. I sometimes get the chance to make public presentations at my local church about various spiritual topics, and I've noticed a strong tendency in myself to over-prepare them a little bit. The funny thing is, I always thought that I was doing the exact opposite and coming with too little preparation to each lesson. I've now discovered that the more points I come prepared to deliver, the more rigid and inflexible my lesson becomes, and I become less able to adapt to the flow of what people are saying and showing interest in. These days, I usually just settle for reading over the material during the week prior to the lesson, studying it for my own benefit, and then keeping a simple lesson outline that can either be adhered to or departed from, depending on how things play out. Put in spider terms, I spin my small web ahead of time, and then when the time comes to deliver the presentation, I sit back patiently and allow the class to more or less teach itself. I let the bugs come to me, or so to speak. Native American tradition contains a concept called animal medicine. This concept holds that every animal in the world has some sort of lesson that it can teach, or some sort of medicine to offer the world. Part of the spider's medicine is teaching us to prepare as best we can ahead of time, but ultimately to trust the universe and what it brings us. The spider used to be pretty much my least favorite creature on the planet, until I took the time to understand its medicine. So, next time you go to kill a spider in your house, maybe take a minute to pause and consider what it might have come around to teach you. Thanks for watching. Peace and blessings.